Well, hello true Mexico friends, this is Paul, an English guy showing you Mexico through my eyes. And to the subscribers of the channel, I hope you've had a great Christmas. I myself drank quite a few Noche Buena Mexican Christmas beers. So, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about 4 things that people often get wrong about Mexico. Now, I think it's important to make this video because there are so many misconceptions about Mexico, and today I'm in the mood to correct some of them. And first up today is that many people think that apart from the cities and beaches, Mexico is just one big desert full of cactus plants. Now, many areas of northern Mexico is indeed desert, and there are a lot of cactus plants. But the reason why people associate this landscape with the whole of Mexico, I think it's because over many years, Hollywood movies and other English language media have shown this side of Mexico more than anything else. And this actually makes sense given that the Mexican desert is directly on the doorstep of the US. So what's the reality? Well, the reality is that Mexico has one of the most varied climates on the planet. In fact, Mexico has 7 different climate zones, from tropical to desert to a Mediterranean type to temperate. It's actually been ranked as number 4 on a country by country world ranking of climate variation. And I've traveled via land from high altitude here in Mexico City all the way down to the coast, and it really is a joy to pass through the different climatic zones in Mexico. Now, that might sound a bit weird, but for a guy from England to suddenly be passing through coffee plantations and then tropical jungle on my way to the beach is pretty darn cool. And next up, I'm going to be talking about the perceptions of Mexican people working abroad. Now, all the news stories dominating this topic talk about Mexican people in the United States working in service industry kinds of jobs, and Hollywood also reinforces this stereotype in things like movies. And the Mexicans in that position are cool, hard-working people seeking opportunity in the US, just like Donald Trump's wife once was. In fact, just like most US citizens' ancestors once were. Nothing wrong with that. Now, this sounds obvious, really obvious, but people should know that there are many kinds of Mexican people, and all countries produce professional talent on a world level, and especially a G20 country with 122 million people such as Mexico. But the fact is that you never hear about the Mexican scientist working as an academic at Harvard University. You just don't hear about those Mexicans headhunted to work in top jobs around the world. But let me tell you something, and many of you already know, Mexico produces some serious world-class talent, especially in the areas of science and technology. And I've heard stories of Mexicans in professional jobs abroad hearing that they are not the typical Mexican. What a load of ignorant nonsense. They are completely typical, but it's just that many people don't realize how many Mexicans there are around the world working in top jobs. And next up is the impression people have that Mexico is a poor country where agriculture is the main industry. Straight up, this is total nonsense. Mexico is a G20 country, which means it's one of the top 20 economies in the world. And it's a world leader in advanced technologies such as automotive and aerospace manufacturing. And I guess people have this poor image of Mexico because it is standing right next to the largest economy in the world, the United States. And there are so many countries in the world that would also appear much smaller standing right next to the United States. But saying this, we can't really avoid the fact that although Mexico is much richer than people think, the spread of wealth is unequal, and that is a big problem for Mexico. And people around the world see images of this economic inequality. However, an unequal spread of wealth does not make Mexico poor, and Mexico has huge potential given its massive geographic size, its population, natural resources. Many predictions say Mexico will be the 5th largest economy in the world by 2050. The potential really is there for Mexico, especially if rapid economic growth is matched with a reduction in economic inequality. And next up is crime and safety. Now, people around the world have this negative impression that every corner in Mexico is dangerous, and they probably have this impression because all they see in the news are these negative, bloodthirsty headlines. Now, we can't deny that Mexico has serious issues with violent crime, but the reality is that the situation is far better than people think. Partly because most of the violent crime happens between the bad guys, and if you aren't a bad guy, you are not in their world and you just read about it too. And the majority of foreign people living in Mexico, and over 1 million United States citizens live in Mexico, for example, many of them retirees, will tell you they feel safe and secure in Mexico. Now, Mexico is huge, 122 million people, so yes, there are areas that are unsafe for sure, and perhaps some of you watching are from areas in Mexico known for high crime, and bad things do happen. But what I'm saying is that people need to understand that it's far easier to find safe and secure areas in Mexico with wonderful people than it is to find the dangerous areas with the nasty guys. And to finish off this section is something in Mexico's favor. Do you know what Mexico doesn't have? It doesn't have terrorists planning to blow up shopping malls and airports for ideological and religious reasons. Fortunately, no one worries about that kind of thing in Mexico, unlike in Western Europe and the United States. Okay guys, enough of me talking, now it's your turn. Let me know down in the comments below what you think. And guys, if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up and share it with your amigos. This really does help me out and the channel. And if this is your first time watching True Mexico, please do subscribe. It'd be great to have you in the True Mexico community. So I'm Paul, this is True Mexico. Hasta luego.